Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about journalism. We're going to talk about the media. We're going to talk about how it really feels like things are on the decline for a lot of the media outlets that have spent the last 5 or 6 years attacking fandoms, attacking people for their political beliefs. A lot of these venture capital-backed media outlets, they're really in a state of decline right now, and it's becoming very obvious that a lot of these sites are in trouble. We've seen a lot of them get sold off or consolidated. Of course, we saw BuzzFeed buy the Huffington Post, and there are some more articles out there this week talking about media and newsrooms being gutted by the whatever they want to call it, the adpocalypse, digital media ad spend slowdown. That's what they're saying, but that's not actually what's going on here, in my opinion. We did a video yesterday talking about Zack Snyder and his relationship with the media and how the media has attacked Snyder Cut fans and attacked Warner Brothers for catering to Snyder Cut fans and all this other nonsense. And I can tell you, as someone who owns a couple of websites, we own a couple of websites, that the ad rates are pretty much what they were. Now, there is another potential adpocalypse coming up because Google's getting rid of their cookies, and now you're going to have to monetize more directly, so that could affect things, right? But what it tells me is that the revenue is declining because the views are declining. And I think a lot of these sites are trying to spin it to their venture capital backers. They're trying to spin it to their investors that the ad revenue's in the gutter, that it was out of their control. There's nothing they could do. It's just the ad rates are bad, and it's not us. It's third parties. We have no control over this, and it's frankly bullshit. They could go do more direct ad sales or whatever, but if people aren't reading your publication, they're not coming to your website anymore, then it doesn't matter what the ad rates are. It really doesn't, because you're not retaining people. So we're going to talk about this. In this article too, BuzzFeed wants to become an inspiration engine. They're going to try to get away from the clickbait, because part of the decline, frankly, is because Trump is out of office. Donald Trump is out of office. So this was on CNN Business, for crying out loud. They said the media is slashing jobs again as the Trump news cycle fades and the economy struggles. They needed a boogeyman. They needed a bad guy. They needed somebody that was going to get clicks. You look at sites like the Mary Sue, which before Donald Trump used to actually cover pop culture news. Not was coming from a feminist angle, but they did cover pop culture news. And now if you go to the Mary Sue, you're not going to find a whole lot of pop culture. For the longest time, they coasted off of politics because that's what got hits. People were outraged daily about Donald Trump. So it became this vicious circle, where we're upset about Trump, and we got people coming in for and against Trump, and the clicks are blowing up and everything's polarized. But it was good for business. See, it was good for business to mine that outrage. And a lot of these websites, they coasted on outrage and venture capital for half a decade or more. And it's coming to an end. And now they're starting to get sold off and shuttered. And I guess I'm just like, shed a tear, don't shed a tear. I don't know. HuffPost got absorbed. Mike got sold off. Vice and Vox are both in really bad shape. And now BuzzFeed wants to be inspirational. Inspirational. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Over 187,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Geeky is sitting this one out. She's out doing some stuff with Mama Sparkles. So you're stuck with me for this video. But we have been talking a lot about the media and how it seems like, they've had to pivot now. They've tried to, at least in the pop culture space, they're trying to side with the fans a little more often on one side. And then the other side of it, they're trying to bring back Gamergate and Last Jedi outrage because they need these hits. They got to have the hits because they need the ad revenue. The only way you get paid on these websites, it doesn't matter if you're backed by Patreon or whatever, you got to have an audience. If you're not selling ads directly or you're not doing the Google ad thing, you got to have an audience. It's the only way that your websites make any money. So with Trump out of office, we're seeing fans become the boogeyman again. We're seeing other personalities like Elon Musk become the new boogeyman because they're trying to find something that sticks. So they're going to kind of go through the roster and be like, okay, let's do some Elon Musk articles. And now people don't like Tucker Carlson. Let's go do some articles about him. Oh, what was big? What was good for hits about 5 years ago? Ooh, Gamergate. Yeah, let's bring that back. Because you can't talk about Trump much anymore because he's I guess out of the public eye. I haven't heard anything about him in weeks, months. I don't even know I have no idea what's going on with him. No idea. And if people don't care, the public doesn't care, and he's not in your face, then your hits are going to drop off, right? So now BuzzFeed wants to be an inspiration engine. This is hilarious. BuzzFeed, which shits on fans and shits on people of a certain political persuasion, has mined that outrage for years, now wants to be inspirational. BuzzFeed says they want to stay in touch with their audience. They've developed a closer relationship with its audience during the pandemic, an asset that can allow advertisers to buy into it. Readers turn to BuzzFeed as an inspiration engine, an ecosystem where they can go to explore new trends, giving the publisher a strong influence on what its audience buys. For instance, 8 in 10 tasty readers have made a tasty recipe, meaning the products BuzzFeed decides to include in its recipes will translate to real-world purchases in the grocery store. You have to support BuzzFeed, because by supporting BuzzFeed, you're supporting mom and pop grocery stores, right? To achieve this kind of intimacy, the publisher has grown adept at listening to audience signals, then turning those insights into content that resonates with readers. Yeah, okay. So why are they making a Gamergate movie again? Why are they making a Gamergate movie? I don't think anybody asked for that. They're pretty tone deaf. The publisher is going to use its social listening infrastructure to collect real-time insights about its readers, then construct advertising plans around that contemporaneous information. So basically, they're going to be like, what's popular? And then we're going to make some stuff around that. BuzzFeed's struggling. They've laid a bunch of people off. They even talk about in this article that they've laid a bunch of people off. BuzzFeed laid off 50 employees in 2020, 6% of their workforce, after furloughing 70 employees, including 20 BuzzFeed News staff. According to a report from The Insider, they bought Huffington Post and they basically gutted it. We had some other people saying that mass layoffs for the Huffington Post signal doom for journalism. No, it doesn't signal doom for journalism. It basically means that people are moving on. They're moving on and they don't want your brand of journalism. And also, you're going to have to temper some financial expectations. A lot of these websites are paying people an exorbitant amount of money to write hit pieces, and they were renting out fancy offices and all kinds of perks, and the gravy train is ending. If you want to see what's going to happen to a lot of these news outlets, I'm using little finger quotes here, go watch the WeWork documentary on Hulu. It's one of the best things I've seen in a long time. Geeky and I watched it the other night, and it was all built on lies. WeWork was all built on lies. It was basically, let me help you help me. It was all about like, we're all one big team, and look at this phenomenal growth that we're having, and look at our valuation, and look at, da, 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 da. And it turned out that they were all propped up on venture capital. It was all shell game. They were just kind of moving money around. Turned out that they weren't profitable. And I'm looking at some of these companies. It's like, well, I'm sorry. If you had venture capital infusion 5-8 years ago and you're still not profitable, you're probably never going to be profitable. I'm looking at Patreon. Patreon is still not profitable. All they do is skim money off of creators. They skim money off of creators, and they're not profitable. I'm like, what kind of overhead do you really have? But in the case of these digital news outlets, they have a lot of overhead because, again, fancy offices. It's all about appearance. It's all about the culture. BuzzFeed is in trouble, and now they're like, yeah, maybe we should try being inspirational instead of creating hit pieces. Maybe we should try that. So there is a decline in newsroom job cuts this year. This year, it's actually doing better, I guess, according to the Wrap. U.S. newsrooms have cut 883 jobs this year, down 68% from the 2020 bloodbath. Now, 2020 was interesting because when the pandemic began, and yeah, ad rates did drop for a little bit, but they, on our end, it didn't look like it was a catastrophic drop. Now, some industries obviously weren't spending, travel wasn't spending, whatever, but it wasn't really that bad. It wasn't that noticeable, at least on the YouTube side, at least on the websites that we own. It wasn't terrible, but I think what happened was a lot of these companies used the pandemic to let people go, to let underperformers go, to refocus and be like, oh, yep, we had to fire a bunch of people because of the pandemic. In reality, they're like, oh my God, how can we get rid of these people? Because we got too many people. We're way overpaying them. How can we get rid of them without them going to Twitter and calling us out and getting, we'll just blame the pandemic. We saw it in comics. We saw it at Kickstarter. Kickstarter's like, oh yeah, guys, we're doing real bad. Let's just get rid of all those unionized employees. We're going to get rid of all those because we're doing terrible. Then they turn around and they're like, hey, Kickstarter's doing great this year. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it was all a sham to get rid of employees. And I think that's kind of what's going on here. I think a lot of these, digital media outlets especially were not performing anyway. So they looked for a reason to just be like, yep, you know what? We're done. You're not getting another round of venture capital. We're not going to keep spending money on this bullshit. It's over. The gravy train's over. For sure. But there are a lot of journalists out there that are out of work. Yesterday, Hearst is going to offer buyouts to 600 staffers. Hearst Magazine, which refrained from layoffs during the pandemic, is pursuing a new financial strategy. It's offering to voluntarily buy out their employees. If enough volunteers fail to come forward, layoffs could follow. So basically, you either take the cut, you take the L, or we get rid of you anyway. The offer reportedly will be made to 600 employees out of the 2,200 in the magazine division and the digital ad agency iCrossing and the Hearst-made branded content group, the report continues. Editorial employees who voted last summer to join the Writers Guild of America will not be affected. Oh, just wait. Just wait. A contract has not yet been agreed on. The cuts could go deeper in Europe. While our goal is to solicit enough volunteers, it's possible that involuntary departures may occur later this spring. This is the Hearst Magazine president, Debbie Chiricella. She added, if this happens, I want to assure you that this process will be done with compassion and respect for all. We're not going to kick your ass out the door like we did at Huffington Post. Some people found out, I guess they were fired via social media, but it's coming. The end is coming for a lot of these websites. And, I agree. It's interesting. BuzzFeed has this video on, we can build a bit better internet. We can do better. We can do better. And we're going to have a better, kinder internet. It's like, you guys were responsible for digging up so much dirt on people. You guys were responsible for creating this toxic cesspool of quote-unquote journalism. I mean, it wasn't just BuzzFeed. There are sites out there, honestly, I think are worse than BuzzFeed. But they were, interested in divisiveness and outrage culture and shocking people into clicking and outraging people into clicking, anything for clicks and ad revenue, and people are tired of it. I was talking to Geeky last night. I said it just feels like people are tired of these websites. I mean, you get to a point where you can't even get angry anymore. It's like, I have spent so much time and energy getting angry. I mean, some of these headlines are ridiculous, and I think they deserve to be mocked, but it's also like, it's really draining. It's very, very draining to be angry all the time. And I can imagine, these businesses being built on this outrage. Like, the people working there must be absolutely fucking miserable. They've got to be. Like, every day you wake up angry about politics. You wake up angry about this or angry about that. And you stew in it. And you're surrounded by other people that are constantly angry. And then you go out on Twitter and you get angry on Twitter. And you've got people fighting on. I mean, it's not healthy. It really isn't healthy. That's for damn sure. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm not going to mourn BuzzFeed if it gets gone. I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their jobs, but if your job was to sow discontent and, strife in America and all that, then I'm really not going to care if you get gone. But good luck with turning that audience into an inspiration engine there, BuzzFeed. I don't think it's going to work out very well for you, but I don't think you've got anything to lose, because if you don't pivot at this point, you're done. You're probably done within the next couple of years. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.